Okay guys, so in a recent video we took a look at the Intel Arc B580 and we tested it against a bunch of games while enabling ray tracing just to see if we could get a playable experience out of it, and to be honest, it did exceptionally well. There was one game that we missed from that testing though, which is quite strange because it is my favourite game of all time, and that game is Half-Life 2 RTX. It is much more demanding than the games that we tested previously, so can the Intel Arc B580 actually survive with Half-Life 2 RTX? Well, today we're going to find out. Now, Half-Life 2 RTX is part of the NVIDIA's remix pack. It's where somebody has taken the game, they've remixed it to add ray tracing capabilities as well as things like path tracing, and it's a little bit different than other games because instead of having just unique aspects that are just applied to things like lighting or shading, they actually have the ability to apply everything, and you can definitely tell when you play the game because it looks completely different. That means that it is extremely demanding, and the last time I tested an Intel Arc graphics card against one of these remix type games was Portal RTX and the Intel Arc A770, and even though that graphics card was actually quite fast, when it came to that game it was an absolute disaster. You would barely get 3 or 2 FPS in most of the game, particularly if you were at a high setting, and even if you lowered it all the way down it still really struggled. Now the A770 does have more XE cores than the B580, but the B580 being a second generation comes with much more advanced XE cores, and it really goes to show when you try other games. So I'm hoping that the B580 can actually pull something out of the bag here and at least get the game a little bit playable. Maybe at some point we will try Portal RTX on this if today's video or if today's testing goes well, but for now we're going to just test Half-Life RTX. Again, it isn't a full game either, it is more of a demo. You get access to 2 levels, the first being we don't go to Ravenholm. For anybody that's played the game, they will know exactly where that is. It looks absolutely stunning if you can get it working, so let's hope that the B580 can do it. The first thing that we need to do though is of course install the card, and we're going to be installing it into our benching rig. So this system does use a Ryzen 7 9800X3D as well as 32GB of DDR5. That's going to give it the best chance to actually play that game because ray tracing does use a lot of RAM, it uses a lot of VRAM. Hopefully the 12GB on here is enough. And it's also going to put quite a bit of demand on our CPU. So it's not a typical pairing that you would have with this graphics card, so don't expect the results today if you are pairing this with something a little bit slower or even a lot slower, but it's going to give us a good indication of if this card is even capable of it. So let's get it installed. As with any Intel Arc graphics card, once you've installed it, you need to make sure that you've enabled resizable bar. If you don't, the performance of the card can actually be around halved, so we definitely need to make sure that we've got that today. It's very easy to tell once you've installed it and installed the latest software, which we've done. All you need to do is just go down to the corner, hit on the Intel graphics software tool, and once it pops up, it will actually start displaying different parts of your system. We can see our AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D there, and it tells us a little bit of information about it. But then just above it, we can see that we've got the Intel Arc B580 graphics card installed. It's got 12GB of VRAM, it is a discrete graphics card, and resizable bar is enabled. If that is not enabled in your BIOS, you will get a little red X there and the box will turn red. You'll have to pop back into your BIOS, enable resizable bar, and then reboot the system to be able to get it enabled. This is just a very quick and easy way that they've provided you to be able to see that it's actually enabled, and it is actually really helpful too, because if your performance on your Intel Arc graphics card is really bad, that's probably what is actually causing it. But now that we know the card is set up, we've got the right software, we've got the latest drivers, it's time to actually give the game a bit of a go. Like I say, this is a demo game more than anything, and you have a completely different menu system for it. You can't go and change the video settings as you would normally do with Half-Life 2. You would need to actually go into a different one, and it does tell you up here how to actually get that. So we need to use Alt and X to be able to get the proper menu up. So what we'll do is we'll wait for the game to load and then we'll see what settings it's actually configured to. So now that we've actually loaded into the menu system, we can see that it's not going well so far. We're currently getting an average of 13 frames per second, and that is just in the menu where it's kind of rendering a proper game in the background. So it's given us some indication of what's going to happen, but it is completely going to be unplayable at this. Like I say, if you actually pop over to the options in game and go to your video settings, even if you click advanced, you're not going to be able to change a lot in here. It's just basically the field of view, and if you go back again you can simply change the resolution. We're going to be running the game in 1080p, so that's probably the maximum we can go to on this graphics card anyway with a game like this, clearly with only getting 13 FPS. So what we'll need to do is head over to the RTX menu, which takes control, well, it's Alt X, and then we get this user graphics settings. I'm not quite sure why they didn't actually just build it into the game's own option system. It seems a little bit weird, but even Portal RTX was like this. Maybe it's because it's more of a demo. If we have a look here, we currently got a video memory usage of around 4 gigabytes out of the 12 that we've got, which is okay, because that means we've got plenty. We've got a little bit of a stutter on the mouse now. It's kind of shadowing around because it's trying to get so much there. Upscaling settings, we're using TechLabUK, and we've got a quality preset there. You do obviously get access to other things, but we don't have any kind of access to DLSS, which is going to probably be our downfall here. They probably really do need to kind of add in things like XeSS and FSR, but I doubt they're going to do that because it's an NVIDIA thing. But if we go over to our rendering setting, we can see that we're currently set in a low preset. So we're only getting 13 FPS in the menu with a low preset. It's not going to be good. I'm going to be telling you that now. And we do have VSync enabled. What we'll do is we'll enable VSync. We'll disable that for now. And then we'll go over to content, see what's on there. Not really a lot in here. It's just enabling of more settings. Seems a bit of a weird one that we've actually got a low preset here. There's no path tracing enabled, or at least it's very low if it is. We're going to go over to the custom settings. Let's see if it will give us any other options. So we don't really get that many options there. I think for now we're going to have to just try it on a low setting, get into game and see if it will produce anything above 13 FPS. So let's close that menu setting and we'll start a new game. We're going to be starting in Ravenholm because it's the only one available at the moment. I haven't actually completed this because I simply can't do it on an Intel Arc graphics card, of course. But as we can see, the game is not looking good so far. We're still getting around 13 frames per second while moving around. The game looks really bad at the moment, so we must have a very low render scale now. It looks more like even lower than 720p pitch. Everything's really blocky and blurry, and we're currently using 99% of the graphics card. Although it's staying nice and cool, we're still using around 8 gigabytes of VRAM now that we're actually in the game, so we've still got plenty to go there. But this, of course, is completely unplayable. So let's head back over to the settings. Of course, that's not the settings that we need. We need Alt-X. We'll check down here. We'll go back to the general. We'll see what we've got in terms of scaling. The only thing that we really can do is if we go to here, we'll go down to, I'll tell you what we'll first do is we'll turn off the render scaling and the game should improve in terms of quality, and we'll see what we get then. So now the game does actually look pretty decent. As you can see, that it looks totally different than the original version. We've got lots of RTX going on. We've got lighting, we've got shadows. It looks fantastic, but it is completely unplayable. We're now getting an average of 7 frames per second with a frame time of 131. This is definitely not the experience most people will expect for Half-Life 2, even though it looks really nice. Pretty sure when the game first came out, this was the type of experience that we got when we first played it. But of course, things have moved on. Ray tracing is the new future, and on an Intel Arc B580, it's not looking good so far. So let's go back to that menu system and we'll turn on the render scaling again if it actually does come up. So it seems a little bit stuck now. Even the menu system itself is suffering from those low frame rates. Not sure what's going on. It's definitely not coming. We'll press escape. There we go. We got the menu. It's up, down, it's up, down. So we've got the menu back now. Without the upscaling set, we are using around 7 gigabytes of VRAM, but it is playing the game in the background. So what we'll do is we'll go to our upscaling settings. We're going to turn it back onto TechLabUK. We're going to then reduce that down to a performance setting. I expect the game to look so bad now that it's probably definitely not going to be worth playing the game. But let's see if we can at least get it playable. We'll close that menu and we'll go back into game. Now the performance has increased by quite a bit, and actually it's reasonably smooth. We're getting around 26 frames per second, which is not brilliant, but our frame time has come down by quite a bit. It's still well over the 20 that we tried to aim for. It's around 40 to 41, and the game looks extremely blurry. This is actually quite laughable now. I'm sure if you had this on a tiny little screen, maybe you could get away with it, but this is definitely not playable, particularly if you could just play the game without ray tracing, and it would look even better. It's just really blurry. Oh, we've got an enemy there coming after us. Just about saw it out of the corner of my eye, even with the blurriness. Like I say, this game is actually quite comical in these settings. It really takes you back to a different era. It looks very outdated, even though the effects are really good. But there we go, the B580. I don't think we're going to get much more playable out of this. We could try and tune the settings a little bit more. Again, we go to the wrong menu, keep doing that. So we'll go to Alt-X. At least the menu comes up much better now that we've got that. We'll have a little play around in here. We'll set it to NIS. Maybe that could help us. I'm not quite sure. We've got a performance balanced quality and a full. We'll go to balanced. We'll see. We can see in the corner as we're changing it, we're now dropping to around 17 frames per second. Still not brilliant, but the picture quality kind of looks a lot better. It's less blurry. I think what we'll do is we'll just up that to equality, and we've got around 13 FPS again. So quality looks better, but our performance is really dropped. So I don't really think there's a lot we can do with this. We are currently in a very low setting, but let's go to TAAU again. We'll set it to ultra performance, which is obviously going to blur our picture. We'll go over to rendering and we'll see if we can actually boost it up to maybe a medium setting, see if that makes any kind of difference. So we'll save those settings, close the menu. So unfortunately, it's still really, really blurry, even though we've turned up our ray tracing capability, but we are getting a pretty decent performance now. So we're getting around 50 frames per second with a below 20 frame time. It's just the fact that it looks like you're not wearing your glasses when you're playing because it's so blurry. It's really, really fuzzy. Not sure. Yes, there's definitely an enemy there. We're going to find something to throw at them. So we'll get this blade, fire it through. Kind of takes away the realism a little bit because it's so blurry, and I don't think you'd want to play this. It's definitely not worth playing in this kind of configuration with this graphics card. It's a real shame as well because the Intel Arc B580 does really well in other games when you turn on ray tracing, but then it is only slight effects. Even though a low setting on here should only add a little bit, it is completely different to the original. It's much better. You can see that flowing around now. It doesn't even look like the shape it's supposed to be. It's kind of like a square block that's whizzing around, and because we're using such a low render scale, you can see like a whoosh or a shimmer as it goes round. But we'll let that take out those enemies there, and then we'll sneak past and we'll go underneath. We'll shut that off. But there we go. I don't think the B580 is actually worth playing this game for. It's definitely not going to play to any kind of standard that you're used to. If you were to play the original Half-Life 2 on this graphics card, you'll be able to max out at like 500 FPS, highest settings, and it would look absolutely fantastic too. The game still holds up really well today. The RTX version, in my opinion, does look amazing. It's definitely something that I want them to finish, to complete all of the levels for, and then I will actually play the game through. I love the game so much. I've played it on pretty much every platform that I can think of, from games consoles, PC, old PCs, new PCs, in 4K with the highest settings. I've even played it in VR with the mod that somebody did not so long ago, and that was absolutely a fantastic experience. So definitely, once this game is actually finished, I'll probably find a much better graphics card. We'll try this on an NVIDIA card at some time, so we've got access to DLSS and stuff like that. Hopefully that can actually bring things up to, even if it's just a playable 60 FPS 1080p, I'll be happy with that too. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of the Intel Arc B580 attempting to play Half-Life 2 RTX. Kind of feels like it's destroyed this graphics card a little bit and kind of taken all the value away. Hopefully they do release more games like this, but not as demanding, so that at least lots of other people get an opportunity to play it. But apart from that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content and you want to see us test even more things on the B580. And I'm sure, as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.